Hey YouTube, Budget Nerd here. In today's video, we'll be looking at another switch from fs.com. They sent over some equipment before, link below if you want to check out my network upgrade video. But this one is a straight up review of one of their PoE Plus switches. And like always, I'll tell you exactly what I think. Meet the S3410-10TF-P, a mouthful in the model number department for sure. It's a 10-port, fully managed gigabit switch with 8 of those ports being PoE Plus, providing 30 watts to up to 4 ports or a little over 15 watts to all 8 ports. There are also 2 SFP ports, but I'm told this switch isn't stackable. You'll need to jump up to their next model for that. Lastly, it comes in at $260 at the time of this recording. In the box, you get another box, and in that box, you get the power cord support thing, mounting brackets, some screws, the grounding cable, and the power cable. There's a quick setup manual, and then there is the switch. It looks nice, feels solid. This particular model is fanless, and you can pull up its configuration page at 192.168.1.1. You want to plug it in and reconfigure that number to something else because that's more than likely your router's address. I changed it to 1.3 and everyone was happy. It'll pull a max of 2 amps and will provide a max of 125 watts of power. It's also made in China. The power supply is built in and not changeable like their other switch they sent. On the front, there is a PoE button to toggle PoE power, a console port which would let you manage the switch if you're a super nerd, or you can access the configuration page in a web browser as discussed earlier. It's a pretty good looking switch and it has a decent amount of weight to it, 5.5 pounds to be exact, or 2.5 kilograms. It also comes with a 5-year warranty. Since there are only 8 PoE Plus ports, some specs are lower than their other switches, like a smaller IPv4 routing table, a slower ARM A9 processor clocked at 400 MHz instead of 1 GHz, and a slower forwarding rate, but it's to be expected. Because of this and other factors, of course, it's small enough, barely, to fit in my rack. It's just shy of 12 inches deep. It does come with some rubber feet, should you decide to put it on a table. After mounting it, I plugged it into my existing non-PoE switch and then plugged in an Anki PoE security camera, review coming soon. Aside from that and an older Zycell access point I reviewed several years back, I don't have any other PoE devices. As expected, no issues seen on the camera, and when testing the other ports for power, they all seem to check out. Since it's a fully managed switch, let's check out the web console. Again, there are several ways to manage this switch. I just find this to be the easiest. Once connected to the switch, or connected to the network it's a part of, type in its IP address, which is 192.168.1.1 by default, and you should change that if it shares an IP address with another device on your network, and then sign in. The default username and password is admin, and it does have you change the password after you log in the first time. In here you can see and manage some of the things you'd expect. I don't want to cover all of it, but here are a few highlights. You can see the status of the ports, set up VLANs, edit the L3 port, which is where you'd change the IP address of the switch or the default VLAN on the switch, change individual or L2 port settings, like assign VLANs, add port descriptions, change port modes or disable them. You can aggregate or mirror ports, change PoE settings, set up MAC binding or MAC filtering, change STP options, set up an ePortal or other options for authentication, search ARP entries, limit bandwidth, turn on the DHCP server, create static IP address entries, control who has access to the switch, and then the typical system settings. The list is pretty long, and if you want to check out the full list, there's a link to their specs in the description. Using this switch, I had no issues. It worked great, and if you're thinking of grabbing one, then there really is only one more thing to discuss, the elephant in the room, and that's the price. It's certainly not the cheapest 8-port switch out there, but this one does have 2 SFP ports, is fully managed, is rack mountable, and has a total of 10 Ethernet ports, even though 2 of them don't provide power. If you're looking for a PoE switch with all of that, then it's a pretty competitive option, and I'd say snatch one up. Link below if you're interested. Would you recommend a different one? I'll be doing a review of TP-Link's new 8-port multi-gigabit L2+ managed PoE switch coming soon. Options are good, so share your thoughts in the comments so we can all make a better decision, and thanks for watching.